Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to 10 AI automations you can deploy in 30 days. No engineering required. My name is Allison Berardi, and I am the program coordinator of High Growth Impact Entrepreneurs. For those of you who may not know, the NASDAQ Center is a nonprofit improving access and knowledge and entrepreneurship to advance economic progress for all. As you'll see in the chat in just a moment, the NASDAQ Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to help entrepreneurs fuel prosperity, no matter where their journey begins. Be sure to check out the links and resources shared in the chat. So I'm going to launch a few polls to step back and take a temperature gauge on how all of you are doing today. We use this information to guide the programs we provide for this global community of entrepreneurs. If there are specific topics or challenges you'd like us to create resources for, feel free to share them in the chat. Just a couple of quick housekeeping notes before we get started. First, let us know where you're dialing in from by dropping it in the chat. We'd love to see where everyone's joining us for our time together today. Second, we'll have a live Q&A at the end of the event, so feel free to submit your questions at any time using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We'll do our best to get to as many as we can. While you're answering, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the incredible support of our corporate partners. The work we do at the center wouldn't be possible without the generosity and belief of our partners and funders, including NASDAQ, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, KPMG, Walmart, the Asia Innovation Hub, Wilson Sonsini, the Narrate Foundation, KKR, and BPM. We're deeply grateful for their partnership, and we'll hope you'll join us in sharing that appreciation. I'd like to welcome Nellie to join.
Hello, hello. So excited to be here.
I'll let you get started with
Are we
your,
ready? Okay.
yes, we're ready.
Okay, so let me share my screen. All right. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to be here. I have done quite a few workshops for the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, and you guys are very, very, I love doing the presentations because you're um, all over the chat, and are, as a person who's talking to a computer, that is a really great feedback. So I'm going to be asking you questions. I want this to be interactive as we are going through the presentation. If there's questions, feel free to drop those in as well. And let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, I am Nelly Yusupova. I'm a fractional CTO. I've been working as a fractional CTO for over close to 2 decades, leading companies to technical excellence. I am the founder of Tech Speak for Entrepreneurs, and I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, helping them strategically implement technologies and AI. And one of the biggest lessons I teach in my AI workshops is this, is that AI shouldn't make you faster. It should eliminate work entirely. And to understand why I say this, we need to understand the AI ladder framework, which I created to help people use AI strategically instead of based on hype. There's so much hype out there, and strategically using AI is going to be something that I'm hoping you guys will walk away with today. So let's look at the AI ladder as a review, and then we'll dive into the automations and agents and examples as we keep moving through the presentation. So think of AI as a ladder. You can ascend or descend this ladder to use any of these or one of these in any combination at any given time. You just need to know what option solves the problem that you're trying to solve in the best and the most efficient way. So most people say, we need agents, or we need automations, or we need prompting, or we need AI tools. But the very first thing that you need to ask is, what problem am I trying to solve? And then based on that, and your resources, and of course, and your capabilities, you can then pick one of the things on the AI ladder. At the very first level, we have out-of-the-box AI tools, prompt engineering, and custom GPTs. These will help you optimize yourself and your team's abilities with AI. It'll help you speed up your daily work, streamline small tasks, supercharge your productivity, and that's all great. But as you climb up through the ladder, you can begin to automate entire workflows so that you can cut down on repetitive tasks and actually be able to free up your time. AI automations and agents will make decisions based on instructions in real time, dynamically adjusting based on the specific situations. Type yes in the chat or drop an emoji if you have work that you are doing that you don't really enjoy and would gladly outsource it to someone else if you could. We should have lots and lots of yeses, right? Because most of us are buried with a lot of manual tasks, tasks that we frankly don't enjoy doing, and automations and AI agents promise to take that off of our plates. At level 2 of the AI ladder, you're not just optimizing, you're now eliminating manual work. Automations and agents are your digital teammates that can take action on your behalf 24/7, and they actually do the work for you. They can send emails, qualify leads, update spreadsheets, create content, automate invoicing, do lead nurturing, take care of client onboarding, and so much more as we go through the examples. And finally, just to wrap this up, at the top of the ladder, we have software. So custom software can help you solve productivity issues, can help you eliminate tasks, but also allow you to create new revenue streams. Here, you can build solutions for your internal business problems, scale your expertise to help others, and also create entirely new products in the market based on your domain expertise. So most people here, and let me know if that's not you, are playing at level 1, right? And sure, if you're using the right tools, you're really good at prompting, you're using GPTs and skills and projects, you can absolutely become more productive and finish tasks in minutes instead of hours, but you're still buried under tasks that shouldn't be yours anymore. The real transformation and time cost savings come from AI automations, AI agents, and software, because now you are literally eliminating work off of your to-do list. And once you set it up, the work gets done for you automatically so that you can reclaim your focus by delegating repetitive and time-consuming tasks to AI. You can scale without hiring by automating operations without the overhead of additional employees. And of course, the most important thing is that you can innovate instead of administrate by freeing up your time to focus on strategic growth, creativity, and revenue generating activities. Who here wants more money? Right? You should all be raising yes, saying yes in the chat, right? Because we are, as businesses, all are in business to generate revenue. And so if you have more time, most people always tell me that I would focus on more revenue generating activities and innovate more and spend that time much more wisely. So with that, now that we all understand where we should be playing this year for the rest of the 6 months that are left in this year, let's actually learn what are automations. And I'll also talk about what are AI agents, and then we'll go into the examples. So how many of you have heard of tools like Zapier and Make? Most of you probably have, because these tools have been in existence for a while. And what they allow you to do is to connect multiple services together to accomplish tasks. Let me give you an example. So you could get a customer that pays you through Stripe, and you can automatically, based on as soon as the customer pays, the trigger happens, add them to your mailing list like MailChimp. You can tag them as a customer and add them to an email sequence based on the product that they bought. You can then use a tool called Lead Score to obtain information about your customer using the email address that they purchased with. And so you get information like what business they work for, what country they're in, how many employees in the company, etc. You can then save this information in the spreadsheet, add a rule into your workflow that says, if someone signs up from my company with more than 50 employees, send me an email so you can follow up with them personally because they are a high value customer for you. Or even better, you can create a task in your project management tool like Trello so so that task doesn't actually get lost in the email. And all of this would be done completely automatically without any human intervention. And believe it or not, whether you've used these tools or not, these types of automations could be set up for many years. But what's now possible as a result of AI is absolutely transformational. This is what it looks like. Here's an example. A fully automated lead generation and enrichment workflow that combines traditional automation with AI. And here you can see the ChatGPT logo with the arrows pointing at it. That is AI models as part of the workflow. And instead of a human needing to evaluate the input, now AI models can do that for us, right? So that before the human would have to do this, and you could do some of the workflow, but at some point you had to stop it and then get the human involved and then maybe continue the automation. But now we can do a lot more because AI automations, AI brains can be put into the automations. So this automation captures leads, enriches them with external data, generates insights using AI, and organizes everything into a structured system, all without any human intervention. Okay, that is the power of AI automations and automations with AI. Now, let's talk about agents and how are they different than AI automations. So agents, unlike automations where we define everything step by step, right? They are very deterministic. So you know exactly where something starts, the workflow starts, all the different steps in between, and all the branching logic, etc. With agents, they don't follow a path, they create the path. An AI agent is a system that uses a large language model to dynamically decide what actions to take, in what order, and which tools to use. So here you see how an agent is structured. You need to provide an agent with four things: a model that'll serve like the brain, that will drive the understanding of the agent so that it understands what needs to be done. You need to give it memory, which is the context from all past interactions to inform the decisions. You also need to give it tools. These are APIs, external systems, or custom applications that it can actually call to do the work. And finally, the fourth is optional, but may be important if you want your agent to have data about your business. So this is where you can give it the knowledge base, your own data that the agent will work with. And after that, it's all AI. Here's an example of a lead qualification agent that will watch your Gmail for new emails labeled as leads. It will analyze the email content to decide whether the lead is a potential sales opportunity. It will research the lead with web scraping to learn more about the company. It will qualify the lead based on the information gathered. It will check your calendar for availability for a meeting if the lead has a high qualification score. And it will draft a personalized email to the lead and then send you an email draft on Slack. So the brain is where the prompt and the instructions live and where all of the reasoning and the decision making happens. This is where the agent evaluates the input and decides what to do next. And all of the connected tools, those are below the brain, the Google Calendar, web search, Google Sheets, etc., are given to the agent, and it can decide when to use which tool. If it needs to check availability, it'll use Google Calendar. If it needs to research the company, it'll use web search, etc. Does that make sense? So agents, you give them all of the information, all of the instructions, all of the tools, and they do the work independently, kind of like a human would. What that is the difference. So before we move on, and go into the examples. Are there questions that still on the differences between AI automations and agents? Great. All right. So let's keep moving. Let's go through the examples. As I'm going through the examples, I want you to start asking yourself, where are you losing time? Where are humans doing repetitive work? And where the delays are happening? What is falling through the cracks? Because all of these questions, all of these friction points is an automation opportunity. Okay, so I'm going to give you some automation examples to get your juices flowing. And then at the end, I'm going to ask you which one is your favorite. Are you guys ready? Drop an emoji in the chat if you guys are ready and excited. I've pulled the examples from all different areas of business so that you can kind of get ideas. And of course, pretty much all businesses can implement them. All right. Excellent. Thank you guys for participating. I love the chat. Number one, let's start with an intelligent meeting prep automation. So meeting preparation is one of the biggest hidden time drains for executives, sales teams, consultants, and founders and business owners. Before every important call, someone has to research the company and the attendees, review previous conversations, figure out what the conversation should focus on. And when you're doing this multiple times a day, it can add up fast. AI can dramatically reduce that preparation time while actually improving the quality of your meetings. So this intelligent meeting prep automation acts like an AI-powered executive assistant working behind the scenes before every call. The trigger starts whenever a new meeting is booked in Google Calendar. The system will automatically identify the meeting participants and begin gathering context. It can pull data from LinkedIn, company information, job titles, recent activities, and company updates, whatever you want, right? Then AI can analyze all of that information and create a concise meeting briefing. So instead of you spending 20 to 30 minutes researching before every meeting, you will instantly receive a summary of who every person is that's joining the meeting, what their company does, recent news and announcements, relevant talking points, even strategic context for the conversation from past interactions that you have, if you have that information stored. And of course, you can ask it to create a meeting agenda, suggested talking points, open loops from previous conversations, notes from prior meetings. All of that is all customizable depending on what your needs are. And the system can then attach the briefing document directly into the calendar invite or email it to you an hour or 30 minutes before the call starts so you're prepared. Here, AI will handle the operational workflow for you, which allows you to spend more of your energy on what actually matters: the conversation, the relationship, and the strategic opportunity. Awesome. So, Todd is saying, you said meeting brief triggered with Google Calendar setup. Does this or similar variant? Yes, absolutely. So these are just examples. I'm giving you examples, but you can plug in whatever tools that you want. Absolutely, Todd. Number two, proposal draft from meeting transcript. So the next automation is one of the most universally useful automations for service businesses, agencies, consultants, sales teams, anyone who generates proposals for a living, right? How many of you spend time writing proposals after client calls? Generally, what happens, you get off a Zoom call, you have pages of notes, you know that you need to follow up quickly, but now someone has to manually summarize the conversation, organize the requirements, write proposals, format them, send them out, and that often takes hours. Now imagine this instead. The meeting transcript automatically gets captured from Zoom, Google Meet, whatever note-taking tool that you are using. AI then analyzes the conversation and extracts what I call proposal intelligence and identifies the client goals, the scope of work, the deliverables, the timelines, pricing discussions, pain points, objections, next steps, and then it automatically generates a proposal draft inside of a tool like PandaDoc. There's other tools. PandaDoc is one I'm familiar with and I've actually used in these types of automations. And once the proposal is ready, the team can get notified automatically in Slack email or whatever project management tool that you're using to review and send it. And what, again, used to take hours now takes minutes. And more importantly, your sales process becomes a lot faster, because we all know the faster you can send a polished proposal after a meeting, the higher the likelihood that the deal will move forward. And this kind of automation that creates immediate ROI because it saves time and increases conversion opportunities at the same time. So proposal draft from meeting transcripts is the second one. Number 3, how many of you do cold outreach and lead generation? This one is going to be an amazing one for you. So one of the biggest challenges with cold outreach today is that people are overwhelmed with generic messaging. Everyone's inbox is flooded, and most of it gets ignored because it feels automated, impersonal, and very low effort. But AI automation will automatically generate personalized AI videos and Google Docs for every single prospect, customized specifically for them. And that will allow you to automate personalization at scale. So let's see how this automation works. Starting with your prospect list, AI will research and enrich the prospect data. Then using a tool called video.io, you can generate a personalized video. And you only record the video one time, but AI dynamically personalizes the experience for every prospect. For example, while the video is playing, it can automatically display the prospect's website, their LinkedIn profile, their company name, branding, etc. Right? And so when the prospect sees this video, they will definitely feel like, wow, this was actually made specifically for me. Then you can also use AI to generate a personalized Google Doc by tailoring the message and recommendations specifically to that prospect's business. And imagine receiving that instead of a generic cold email. Your outreach immediately will stand out because it feels thoughtful, relevant, and personalized. This level of personalization used to be impossible to do at scale. And now, instead of all of the sales team that if you have a sales team or yourself spending hours doing that personalized outreach, you can focus on conversations, relationship building, and closing deals. Notice the pattern already. Like we've gone through 4 automations. We are doing all of this and outsourcing work to AI that we don't want to do, right? So that we can focus on the most human aspects of this: conversations, relationship building, closing deals, revenue generating activities, right? All right, so that is one, if you're doing cold outreach, that you can start to implement in your business. The next one is AI lead qualification and follow-up automation. Most companies, if they're doing marketing correctly, are getting leads from a lot of different places: website forms, lead magnets, LinkedIn lead forms, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, right? All kinds of different social media ads, Calendly bookings, if you have a calendar that people can book meetings on, email inquiries, whatever, right? The problem is that because you're getting information or leads from all the different sources, 2 things typically happen. Either they're ignored, or the leads are responded too slowly to, or the team takes every single meeting and wastes an enormous amount of time on unqualified prospects. And that's where this AI automation becomes incredibly valuable, because now we can build an intelligent lead qualification and follow-up system that works automatically behind the scenes. So let me walk you through this workflow. The moment a lead comes in, the automation triggers. Then we enrich the lead using data with company revenue, headcount, job title. Now comes the AI qualification step. We use AI to evaluate whether the lead matches our ideal customer profile. So maybe you define your criteria as companies with more than $2 million in revenue, at least 50 employees, and in certain industries that we specifically specialize in. AI compares that enriched lead data against those rules and determines is this a qualified opportunity or not? And because now the workflow can branch dynamically based on the result, if it is qualified, right? If the lead is qualified, we automatically save the contact and opportunity into a CRM and then generate a personalized email reply. So you could say something like, "Hey, I saw this in a that you are in the healthcare space. We have helped similar companies streamline operations, and I'd love to show you what we've done. Here's a link to grab time on my calendar." Again, all of this is done automatically. You're not doing any of this work. The AI understood that this person is in a healthcare space, and so you can customize that information automatically. And again, you can also, because you're not doing this manually, take advantage of that and automate the leads that are not a good fit as well. Maybe you send them a thoughtful message saying, like, based on your current stage, we might not be the best fit for you right now, but here's some recommended partners or resources that may help. Right? So you're actually creating a system that can send emails automatically and notify both types of leads. And so your AI handles the operational workflow so your team can focus on high value work. And your team doesn't have to copy data between systems, write emails, deciding what to prioritize, and actually make sure nothing falls through the cracks. That is the power of this AI automation. Are you guys excited? We're now up to number 5. I'm going to ask you at the end, which one is your favorite and which one is going to be the most impactful for you. So keep track of those. All right, let's keep moving. Staying top of mind with your connections. So let me ask you a question. How many of you do lots of networking meetings and meeting people all the time? I hope all of you are saying yes, because if you're not, that's the first thing you need to be doing, right? But how many of you go to lots of networking meetings, meeting amazing people, and also know that the easiest way to close more business is to simply stay top of mind with your prospects, clients, and referral partners? And how many of you are consistent with relationship nurturing? Most of you will probably say no, right? Because it's incredibly time consuming. To do this properly, you need to remember who you haven't spoken to recently, review past conversations, look through emails and notes, check what they've been posting online, think of something relevant to say, and then manually write a personalized message every single week. That becomes impossible to scale. So what usually happens? Relationships slowly go cold. And this is where AI and automation can become incredibly powerful, because now you can build a relationship nurturing system that feels personal and human, but operates automatically in the background. So this is how it works. The automation first identifies people in your CRM that you haven't communicated with in a while. Then the system gathers context automatically. It will pull previous CRM notes, past emails, meeting summaries, communication history, recent LinkedIn posts, whatever you want, right? And now AI has enough context to understand the relationship. And then it can generate a personalized message that actually sounds like natural and thoughtful. So instead of you saying, "Hey, I'm just checking in," you can say something like, "Hey, I saw a recent post about you expanding your team. Congratulations. It reminded me of a conversation we had a few months ago about scaling operations. Would love to reconnect and hear how things are going." That feels human because it is contextual. AI can learn everything about the interaction and write and even share resources that might be helpful to the person. And the beautiful part is that it can all happen automatically. The system can send the email, create LinkedIn message drafts, schedule follow-ups, log the activity back in your CRM, and notify your team when someone responds. So instead of relationships going cold because everyone's too busy, you create a scalable relationship nurturing system that continuously keeps you top of mind. All right. Number 6, next automation is for new personalized client onboarding. So the problem this one solves is that most onboarding processes are incredibly manual. So if any of you who work with clients, you probably do the same thing over and over again. You create folders manually, send repetitive emails, copying templates from one to the next, scheduling meetings, assigning tasks, right? Creating Slack channels, whatever systems you use. It's time consuming, repetitive, and easy for things to fall through the cracks. So this automation turns onboarding into a streamlined client experience that happens automatically. So the trigger starts when a client signs a contract through a tool like HelloSign, DocuSign, or another email signature platform. First, the system will create a dedicated client folder in Google Drives and duplicate all of the onboarding templates. Next, the client immediately can receive a personalized welcome email with next steps, onboarding instructions, scheduling links, and all of the important information about the engagement. And AI can customize this onboarding summary because it knows all the information and context about this specific situation, right? So it can give it more specific messages or information tailored specifically to that specific engagement. The system can even generate a project timeline automatically using templates from tools like Notion. It can then add the client to whatever collaboration environment that you're using, Slack, private client portals, Notion workspace, whatever you're using, right? Now, you can also automatically schedule onboarding meetings and any recurring tasks that get created for the account management team. Think about the impact of this. Instead of onboarding feel chaotic and manual, clients will experience speed, organization, personalization, and professionalism immediately after the signing. What does that do? It creates more trust in that relationship. And operationally, your team will save hours of repetitive administrative work while creating a far more scalable onboarding process. This is a perfect example of both using AI and automation to improve both operational efficiency and customer experience at the same time. So if you're doing any type of work with clients, this one is something that you can implement very quickly. All right, next automation is generating client testimonials and building case studies. One of the most valuable assets for any business is social proof, testimonials, case studies, right? It's so much more powerful when our customers say amazing things about us versus saying we are great, right? Ourselves. But the problem is that most businesses and people are terrible at consistently collecting them. When the project ends, what happens? Your team moves on to the next client and nobody follows up at the right time. And all of that valuable success stories, they get lost forever. So this automation solves this problem automatically. The trigger starts when a project gets marked complete inside your project management system. The moment the project closes, the automation kicks off. First, the client automatically will receive a thoughtful thank you email along with a feedback form. And instead of just collecting that feedback and letting it sit in a spreadsheet somewhere, now AI can analyze the responses using sentiment analysis. It looks for emotional language, transformational moments, measurable outcomes, pain points solved, etc. So if a client says something like, this saved our team 20 hours a week and completely transformed our onboarding process, the AI recognizes that as a high value testimonial content, and the system can automatically save that testimonial, create a client success story, and even a longer form case study if you have a structure or a template. All of this is done using your client's own language because you're working with what they've submitted. And it can even insert placeholders for metrics and results, etc. And the draft can get then routed to your internal team for approval. So your team can quickly review it, edit anything if needed, and then send it to the client for final sign-off. And once approved, the automation can do more stuff. It can publish the testimonial to your website. It can create and post the case study on LinkedIn, right? Add it to your marketing assets. Save quotes and snippets in your swipe file for future sales pages and landing pages, right? So like all of this can be automated. And the next steps, I'm not talking about all of the steps, but can be customized to all of the different things potentially you could be doing. Think about how powerful this becomes over time. Instead of randomly asking people for testimonials once in a while, you can create a systematic process for continuously capturing social proof automatically. And every successful project now becomes a marketing asset for future growth. I bet you all of you are excited about this one. Because this is one of the low-hanging fruit to getting more clients, more trust, more everything, right? Because clients and case studies and testimonials are so impactful for businesses. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about agents. So in my presentation that I previously did for NASDAQ, we talked about AI agents, and I gave one of the things that I said about agents is that they're not very deterministic, and in highly risky operations or in your business, agents may not be the right solution. But for content and research and a lot of the things that we can outsource to agents in marketing space, right? That can be a huge game changer for a lot of businesses. So the next 3 examples are going to be around content and agents. Okay? Because one of the biggest challenges businesses and individuals face today is constantly creating high quality content that will perform. Most people are like always saying, like, what should I post? What's trending? What's actually working right now? How do I create content that people will engage with? And this is where AI agents become incredibly powerful. So the first one, the viral content agent continuously researches top performing content across platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, Reddit, even your industry specific communities. It can scrape and analyze high-performing posts to identify patterns like hooks that grab attention, trending topics, emotional triggers, audience pain points, engagement patterns, post structure, content formats, all of it. Then AI extracts audience insights from all of that data. So instead of guessing what your audience cares about, your agent already knows what's resonating in the market. And then it transforms those insights into content ideas. It can give you drafts for viral-ready scripts, video outlines, hooks, carousels, email topics. Now imagine how valuable this becomes for a marketing team. Instead of spending hours researching competitors, brainstorming ideas, analyzing trends, and trying to figure out what to post, the AI agent continuously feeds your team content opportunities based on real market engagement data. And because it is connected to AI, it's not just copying content, it's identifying patterns and generating original content tailored to your brand voice and your audience, right? So this is one thing where agents, I think, are incredible if you know how to set this up, right? This would totally help a lot of people. Number 9 can actually be used, content strategist agent can actually be used with number 8. So this one, strategic content that is optimized for different platforms and is aligned with your brand, right? That is what this agent does. Most businesses struggle with this because the audience, the messaging, the positioning for all the different platforms are totally different. So like if you think about what the posts and the content looked like on LinkedIn versus Twitter versus Instagram versus TikTok, right? They're all different platforms and the audience is different. The messaging and the positioning should be different. So this agent takes raw ideas and transforms them into polished, channel optimized, content ready that is ready for publishing, right? So maybe you start with a voice memo, a rough bullet point list, a webinar, a podcast, or even that agent that we just talked about, right? That generates ideas, the viral content agent. So now instead of guessing what content your audience wants, you're combining real-time audience insights with strategic content generation. And this AI agent will analyze the content, identify the strongest ideas and angles, and then strategically repurpose that information across multiple different formats and optimize the messaging differently for each platform automatically. That is agent number 9. And similar to content, the next agent, content repurposing agent, does something similar, but it will take one piece of content, a webinar, a podcast, a keynote. So what most people do, and I don't know if you're guilty of this, is you go on a podcast, you create a training, right? Or a single long form video, and then you just go on, publish it once, and then move on to creating something new. But this one piece of content can become an entire content ecosystem. So this content repurposing agent will take a single source of content and automatically transform it into multiple content assets optimized for different platforms. For example, you could take a 45-minute webinar and can instantly become 20 LinkedIn posts, Instagram posts, X posts, short form video clips, blog articles, email nurture sequences, social captions, right? Downloadable lead magnets. The list can go on because AI understands the context and the messaging, and the output will still feel cohesive and aligned with your specific brand voice. This will dramatically increase the ROI of every single piece of content that you create. And instead of constantly needing more ideas, you can extract significantly more value from the expertise and the content you already have. This is how modern content teams can scale output without dramatically increasing headcount. Okay, so I just walked you through 10 examples of high ROI automations and AI agents. What's the most impactful one for you? Type your answer in the chat. Tanisha said all of them. Number 10. I love that. Number 10, number 6, number 5, number 8, all 6 and 7. Right. So thank you for sharing that. So I'm giving you these examples to get your juices flowing. But the biggest opportunity for most businesses and people, individuals who are doing work right now, isn't just these examples, it's the hundreds of repetitive tasks happening every single day that are unique to how you or your business operates. The emails, the follow-ups, the research, the reporting, the approvals, the data entry, the coordination, the manual processes that your team repeats over and over and over again. AI automations and agents now give you the ability to automate the way you specifically work. That is the power of AI. Not just generic workflows, but the specific operational tasks that consume your time and keep your team stuck in execution mode. The real goal here isn't just to save you time, it's to systematically remove low value work from your plate so you and your team can focus on strategy, creativity, relationship building, innovation, and revenue generating activities. That is where the real transformation happens. And when I ask people how many of you think of that AI automations and agents are exciting, everybody says yes. But then I also ask, how many of you think it's daunting and really exhausting? Lots of people say yes as well, right? It's a bit of both, whether you're a solopreneur or a consultant or a business owner of 5, 50, or even 100 employees. The idea of cutting down repetitive tasks and reclaiming your time is a complete game changer. But this is what I see on a daily basis as a fractional CTO when I work with companies. I see the same thing over and over again. No systems or broken systems. The sales process lives in someone else's head. The onboarding checklist is on Google Docs somewhere from 2021, and no one really is sure of where's the latest version of that client deck is, right? When your business systems are a mess or broken or non-existent, automations are not possible. You cannot automate chaos. If your business processes are messy, disorganized, or unidentified, automating them isn't going to magically make things better. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. You're just going to get a bigger mess faster. So before you even think about plugging in automations, you need to do the groundwork. Define your processes, map them out, understand each step. Eliminate inefficiencies. Cut the fat before you speed things up. What most people do is they fall into how we do things, right? If you start to analyze, like, why did I take this process on? Most people say, well, because I just started doing it this way and it may not be the most efficient way. So you don't want to AIify that. First, you need to fix the process, standardize your operations, and then go from that. And the way you get started is by mapping your processes by building a workflow planning map. Here's an example of a workflow planning map for an AI content strategist. So here you can see a bird's eye view of every single step, every single decision point, every handoff in the business process. And this is where you can identify very clearly where the bottlenecks are, how you should clean up inefficiencies, and decide where automation fits best and which specific step and how to do it and how much to outsource to AI, where to put human in a loop, etc. Right? So this is how you get started. Being able to effectively plan automations is a critical factor to their success. This is how you can determine what steps in the process could and should be automated. Automations save you time, but some automations are not worth automating because it costs time and money to implement those things, right? So you don't want to focus on small little things. You need to focus on high ROI opportunities. And being able to do the strategic work before you decide what to automate and how, then it's going to help you get there a lot faster. So before we jump into the Q&A, I want to leave you with what would it mean for you and your business if you had systems running in the background powered by automations and AI, giving you back 10, 15, or even 20 hours a week. Write your answer in the chat, or at least think about it, because this is going to be what I think you should focus on for the next 6 months and how you can close out the year. And for those of you who are interested in learning how to do all of this, how to plan your automations, how to map them out, how to clean them up, how to add AI, how to understand what AI can do, and all the different ways to implement different things, I am launching a cohort. This is my second one. The next one is June 15th. Automate how work gets done with AI automations and agents, the 6-week live training for non-techies. I will break down all the different steps, all the different things that you need to learn. It's a 6-week program. It is about 7 to 10 hours a week that you would have to dedicate to learning and implementing. We have a 2-hour live teaching on Monday and a 2-hour show and tell on Friday. So on Monday, you learn something, you have a whole week to do the work for your homework, and then you're showcasing your work so everybody else in the group also learns from you. And of course, I wanted to offer a special discount to the NASDAQ community, June 300, for any of you who might be interested in joining. techspeak.co/AI-agents. That's the URL where you can learn more information. And with that, let's go into the Q&A.
Thank you, Nellie. We have Christopher Douglas who asks, what tool do you recommend for personalized onboarding for new clients?
So depending on what it is that you're doing and what So the way that you make a decision on what tool, it all starts with what tools do you currently have, right? The tool that you can use to connect the software is called probably make.com. That if you are non-technical, that's a no-code way of building automations similar to this. But you can also use N8N. You can also use code. There's many different ways to implement these depending on your technical abilities, your your ability to actually understand how to use these tools, because you do have to, there's a learning curve. So some of the non-technical people learn the first part of like the planning, the defining the criteria and all of the different tools that you would use, and then have a technical person actually do the implementation. So people, if you can use make.com or N8N or other similar tools like that. So hopefully that answers the question. It's a very broad type of question. But in
Yeah.
general, you can sometimes pick the tools because you're not using anything. But if you're already using tools, then you have to figure out how to make the automations work with the tools that you already have in your business.
Another question from Lion Dance, Lake Bolt Research. Which automations make sense for a startup that has developed and deployed a product with very few customers, but is still in the phase of validating product market fit?
So the automations that I would every automation that you decide to implement has to have an ROI calculation. So that's what I teach in the cohort as well. That's where we start. We start with planning and defining all the work that you're doing, but then also calculating how much is that work costing you, right? There is a hidden cost, even if it's just if you're doing the work, right? You have to calculate how much do you get paid per hour. And if you're doing stuff that a $15 an hour person can do, like you're wasting all of that time and money. At the very least, outsource it to a $15 an hour person, right? But calculating the ROI of how much things are costing you, that's how you know where which automation to prioritize and then start from there.
Great. What platforms or tools do you recommend for building AI agents right now?
So there's many different ways to build agents. If you think about like Claude Code or OpenAI has Codex, right? Those are coding agents that can help you do all of this work. There's also specialized agents that are just focused on marketing or like it depends on your level of complexity and your level of being comfortable with the technology, right? Make.com, which is a no-code automation, also has agents implementation as well. And it's more drag and drop type of way of building agents. But you can learn all of these tools. It's just there is a little bit of like, don't get scared of code, right? A lot of Claude code or co-work is a little bit less codey, but most people, most non-technical people think about, they hear code and they run away. But very much, a lot of people need to realize if you're not technical, that you start to work with these tools in a natural language. So if you know and understand the basic and the structure of how to work with AI, the coding part, like AI will write the code for you and do the integrations. You just need to know what to ask for and how to ask for it. That's what essentially, like if you don't know that, that's what you should be learning. And then once you understand all of that, you can then work with AI and a lot of these coding agents to build stuff that you need.
Thank you. We have a question. It's specifically about your slide 8. Can you control the source of the content and identify citations? It's from
Yes.
Felicia.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is for number 8 was an AI agent, correct? So the source of the content, the voice, the brand, and the specifics, that's all your job. So if you remember how you structure an agent, right, you give it instructions and you basically program the brain with your prompts and your data sources and all of that. If you know how to basically put a harness on that brain, you are training it to do work a certain way. And then you give it the tools and say, if you need to use any of these tools, this is how you use the tools. And then it from that point on, it should, right? That there's no guarantee. That's agents are very hard to control because we don't know why they make certain decisions. But it should do the work based on how you structure your instructions.
Great. Well, we're out of time, but I would love to ask you, Nellie, what would be a key takeaway for our audience today? A golden nugget from your talk you'd like to share?
So I want to share two. Number one is that you should start with planning. You will save yourself so much time and money of just jumping into the build process. And a lot of people who say AI doesn't work or we implemented AI and we saw no ROI, AI is garbage. It's because they don't know how to work with this tool and they haven't done the planning. So that's number one. Like I give you a lot of examples, and most people are excited to jump into actually going and building. But you need to understand, what does that example mean to my process? What are the exact steps that I follow? And then generate your own workflows that work for you specifically. So that's number one. And then number two, it's to do the mapping of the process because it'll help you maintain it long term.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to the community, share your thoughts, and set such a great overview. On behalf of the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center and everyone in attendance today, we sincerely thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure. And thank you all for participating and being such an amazing audience as well.
Thank you, Nellie.
All right. Talk to you soon.
We would love for you to join us for our upcoming webinars. You can view the upcoming events by using the link in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we look forward to welcoming you back online with us very soon.